Bhakti Sachiputra Matra Srupam Upam Tasukajam Upam Matram Gosdavakam Radhakundam Girivaraho Ranika Madhavasyam Bhakto Yasha Patita Kripaya Shri Guru Thomas Tosma Paragi Bhakta Samparat Maya Payamam Vikshmanam Kripam Vir Padukriya Sanatadam Tamatam Mashamam Adharinastridandam Kiridam Yache Punapana Srimad Rupam Param Bhujo Dunisham Janachanam Vanchakalpatrubhischa Kritasya Yogevita Patitanam Parvedyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Guru Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. First of all, I offer my Sastanga pranams so many times, Lord Srimad Bhai. Hare Ram, Diksha Guru Raj, Jalila Bhagishta Master, Taru, Tashish Mashi, Bhaktivedanta, Swami Mash, Maishma Prabhupada. An equal number of Sastanga pranams. The Lord Srila, my Shiksha, Sanyas Gurudeva, Jalila Bhagishta Master, Taru, Tashish Mashi, Bhaktivedanta, Swami Mash, and also Jalila Bhagishta Master, Taru, Tashish Mashi, Bhaktivedanta, Swami Mash, and to all of our Guru Rajacharyas, all the soul Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis assembled here in Radhikunj under the shelter of Pujapad Bhaktivedanta, Bhaktivedanta, Premyananda Guruji. Brahmanda Brahmate Koni Bhagavanji Guru Krishna Prasadi Gai Bhaktivedanta Beej. So living entity absorbed and caught in the snare of Maya for so many lifetimes, lifetimes and lifetimes, striving to obtain that which is not possible, to get happiness out of this material realm. Ananda Maya Vyasa. Krishna's nature is full of Ananda. His Ladini Shakti Radharani personified pleasure potency, how to increase Krishna's pleasure every single moment. And she expands herself in unlimited ways to give Krishna that pleasure. So as parts and parcels of that Supreme Lord, we're also always hankering for pleasure, Nanda. But here in this material world, there's only mirage of pleasure. It looks like pleasure, but it's not. It's suffering. So after repeated births and deaths, trying to obtain that which is not possible, being frustrated at every moment, then one will turn towards what is Atato Brahmikasa, what is the absolute truth? How can what is real human form of life begins when we inquire, who am I? Kehami? What is this material world? Why am I going through so many difficulties and suffering? We begin. At that moment, one will get the opportunity. Jivi Shakshanai Tata Cheta Guru Rupe Shiksha Guru Hanta Krishna Hanta Sarupe. Krishna's right within our heart, Artayami Guru in our hearts. And he's constantly giving us instructions. But we're not hearing those instructions. We're absorbed in this material phantasmagoria, this pleasure, that pleasure, this, that, and the other thing. We're not hearing those instructions of the Supreme Lord. So out of His causeless mercy, Ahituki Kripa, He appears before us as the Mahanta. So Shri Guru comes to that fortunate soul who has sincere desire to emancipate himself or herself finally from this material world and not have to take birth after birth after birth. That is when the soul is fortunate. So how fortunate we are to be in this holy Dhamma of Vrindavan, on this holy teepee. Simultaneously, it's a Viraha Mahotsava and also very joyous occasion because we're celebrating also the appearance day of Srila Bhaktivedanta. I remember in 2010 in Govardhan, we had a kirtan all night long. It was the disappearance day of Srila Brahman Maharaj and Srila Trivikram Maharaj. And we thought, Gurudeva will leave now. He'll leave. So we had kirtan all night long, praying, oh please, don't take it, let him stay. We need Gurudeva. Actually later, Gurudeva said, I wanted to leave, but all of you were so insistent that I couldn't. But he chose this day of the appearance day of his Guru by Shiksha Guru Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Charya Gurudeva Samiti. When he came, his mother brought him to the Lord's feet of Parama Pujapat Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. He was 9 years old. And he was so sincere and did so much seva. And Srila Prabhupada gave him Harinam. And he was capturing the hearts of everyone. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Prabhupada ended his pastimes on this planet. So then there was some disagreements and turmoil within his institution. Like most institutions, when the Acharya leaves, there's factions and this, that, and everything, and then the court cases. So Srila Brahman Maharaj, at that time, Sajan Sevak, he took shelter of Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj because he knew his exalted position and closeness to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta. One time, one lady said, oh, Srila Prabhupada, you were saying that you have so many temples all over and so much opulences. What we're seeing, the brahmacharis here are barely scraping together enough to eat. And at that time, Srila Prabhupada Bhaktisiddhanta, he looked at brahmachari. He said, he will arrange and help you do everything. So Srila Sajan Sevak took shelter with Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj. And then there was a false accusation against Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj and others in the temple there. They began with Bhaktivedanta Samiti. My Gurudeva was also a signing member of that, and so was Siddhartha Goswami Maharaj. So the police came and arrested them, 20 brahmacharis and Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, and put them in jail. But at that time, because Sajan Sevak was very young, they didn't take him. So he single-handedly did many of the duties at the temple, and he hadn't received Diksha yet. So he was crying out to Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, how can I serve the deities? How can I want to cook for the deities and bring you prasad. So Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj gave him Diksha mantra from within the jail, and then he went out, purchased the bhoga, cooked it, and brought it to the jail for the devotees there. He endeared him so much to Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, and he was so dedicated towards preaching, and his nature was very, very, very humble and sweet, refined, and introverted. And he endeared himself to the hearts of all the devotees, and he was so, I think he was what do they call it? Perfect memory? Shrutidhar. So he had like photographic memory. I have a photographic forgetfulness. So he was so shastrically, all the Puranas, all the Itihasas, all the Upanishads he knew. He was so erudite. And he also was very dedicated towards the publishing and printing of books. to be distributed for the Bhaktivedanta Samiti, Gurudeva Samiti. And one day in the printing, his finger got caught in the press, and he got his finger caught very badly. And Srila Bhaktivedanta heard of that. He came and he cried, and he took him to the hospital, and he was fixed. So later I'll tell you, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj told me about that. So when I first heard him and Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj giving classes, they had very expert, very erudite English, very high English, and so gradually over the years, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj started to go internal in his bhajan and not so much external manifestations. And I remember it was very hard for devotees to get his darshan, but I had some kind of a relationship with his seva, and I asked that seva, could you please arrange that I can have a personal darshan? I went to ask Srila Maharaj for his blessing. So we arranged that, and Srila Maharaj was on his dais there, and in a mosquito net, and in Navadvip. And I came in the room, and his sevak introduced me as Sajan, as Krishna Bhajan Das, a servant and disciple of Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Sri Prabhupada. So I paid my obeisances, and I looked up at him, and he had such soothing, beautiful rays emanating from his eyes, and heart were just captivating. And I looked at him and said, yes, my Guru Maharaj has named me Krishna Bhajan Das. And I thought I knew a little bit about what Krishna Bhajan is until I met Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami. And then I realized how much about Krishna Bhajan I didn't know, but I only knew a little teeny bit. You've heard me say this many times, but it's very nice because it hit me each time. So I said, could you please bless me in this lifetime or some soon lifetime, I can be a true Das, true servant of Krishna Bhajan. And he smiled really beautifully in his eyes, and he held up his hand and he said, not to trust you. He said in English, so be it, so be it, so be it. I was always very fond of him and his unique character of simplicity, of humbleness. So when I received sannyas mantras from Sri Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, Sri Prabhupada, Maharaj.Glories, he was in the room next to Sri Maharaj's room. So he gave us sannyas mantras, and then he took us next door to his Guru Bhai and asked Sri Maharaj to also give us the sannyas mantras. And when Sri Maharaj heard that he had named me Bhaktivedanta Sajan, he said, oh, Sajan, I am also Sajan. Sajan Seva. And he saw me folding my hands, and he said, oh, I also have a finger that and he showed up his finger, and he had got it cut off in the printing, because he said, so anyway, so Srila Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, the three pillars of Gaudiya Vedanta Samiti, so close and so intertwined with respect and love and devotion. When Srila Maharaj, before he would initiate, he would get permission from Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj and Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj. And then when Srila Maharaj went traveling and preaching by the mercy of Pujapad, in 1996, began traveling around the world and inundating the world with the postgraduate study of what Swami Prabhupada brought to the West. He gave us the introduction to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's teachings, the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, etc., etc. He gave us Srimad Bhagavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. But he was cutting jungles, and so he asked his dear associate, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj, who he requested to come many times before he left this world, and he requested him to give him his samadhi personally with his own hands. He requested him, please help my followers and disciples enter deep into the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Sri Maharaj once asked Prabhupada's disciples, some of us, he said, in your mantra, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani, what is this Gauravani? What is this Gauravani? Bhaktivedanta, Namaste Gauravani, Namaste Devi. So he said, what is this Gauravani? So some of us spoke, Shikshasika, and some different stories were saying different things. He said, no, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has said, Gauravani, Raju Bhagavan Vijay Shataminostak Dhamma Vrindavan, Ramyat Kachit Uparsana Varcha Putu Yagina Kavita, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Srimad Bhagavatam Pramanam Amalam, Prema Purnatam Moham, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Tattva Para. See my photographic forgetfulness. So this is the true Gauravani that we worship, the Supreme Lord. Not Brahma, Shiva, Paramatma, etc. We worship the Supreme Lord, Nanda, Yashodananda, and Nanda. That Krishna we worship, not Vasudeva Nanda, Devaki Nanda, Yashodananda, Nanda, the sweet beloved of all the gopis. And we worship equally Vrindavan Dham. This Vrindavan Dham is Shakshat. It's not different from the Supreme Lord. It's equally worshipable. His holy name, his Dham, his antras, his Leela, non-different. Haribo. So, and whose example of worship should we follow? We should follow under the guidance of the Braj Devis, the gopis. Their love is the highest, and who amongst them? Srimati Radharani. This is Gauravani, the real teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And besides this, we want to hear not any other philosophies. So, Srila Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj came to many of the disciples of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and he gave us that postgraduate study that Ajahn wanted us to give, and he gave it in his purports, deeply within his purports, but they're under lock and key. I remember when I got the association of Srila Gurudeva, Srila Narayana Goswami Maharaj, then I would reread my Gurudev's books and I would say, I didn't see this before, this is amazing. It would take me deeper by that association. And I told him once this in Bali. And I said, I want to reread all of my Gurudev's books because now I'm getting your association and I'm seeing that you're helping me open up. And he said, yes, all those deep purports are locked under lock and key. And the pure Vaishnavas on that level of him have the key for that. He said, but better than reading these is to hearing from persons, and he didn't say himself, he was like going around the room, and I think Tirtha Maharaj said, and others, Maharaj. So association is so important, how we can imbibe this knowledge. We know that Anugatya and Guru Nishta is the backbone of bhakti. Srila Maharaj gave us so many gifts. He is a very valuable gift to Srila Bhaktivedanta Keshav Maharaj, to all of us, Srila Rama Maharaj, Srila Tripura Maharaj. and Prabhuji, the most senior, most disciple of Srila Maharaj, Srila Maharaj. Srila Maharaj told Prabhuji and others, like Govind, Didi, Chirta Maharaj, so many others, Maharaj, Naveen Krishna, and also Sajan Seva, they're all disciples of Srila Maharaj. You started my godbrother Maharaj, it's equally pleasing to me, or serving me personally, even more so. So many wonderful memories of our Gurudev, and in my association with my Gurudev, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, I didn't get hardly that much association at all. 3 different times for a week each, different times. But he gave me the merciful, his glance in the form of association with his dear friend, Priya Bandhu, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, and I had a very close, intimate relationship with him, and so much personal seva and dealings. And he opened his heart to many of my godbrothers and godsisters in such a wonderful way, with so much love and respect that I can never repay. And how he has given me that entrance into what my Gurudev has come to give, which is Rajras, as he has said, he gives us so many wonderful scriptures, Gopi Geet, Venu Geet, the literatures like Maharaj, Vaishnava Prabhu said, Venu Geet, these literatures, Bhakti, Varma, Chandrika, Vishdalanili, Lilamani, Kardan, so many different literatures. So on this day, we pray to these acharyas, Srila Bhaktivedanta Maharaj, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, all of our Guru Varga, to please continue to shower us with your causeless mercy and help us crawl towards your desire for us in the ultimate destination, as Radha Pali Dasis, under the guidance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his associates. Nitai Gaur